That's all I got. So, this is a lesson about how to play Honky Tonk on harmonica. I'm going to show you a couple of parts of the song. What I did there was just sort of the opening. It was a sort of a bad version of the opening thing. Honky Tonk. I'll tell you a story about this song. Many years ago, when I was in my late 20s, I'll tell you when it was. It was 1985. So I was 27 years old, and I was living in the Columbia University neighborhood where I used to go to graduate school, but I had dropped out. I was heavy into improving my blues harmonica, and I realized Harlem was right there. Harlem was a quick drive away, or cab away. And so I went and I began to explore. Actually, what happened was I was playing on the street one day, and I write about this in my memoir, Mr. Satan's Apprentice, and a guy, young black guy, stopped me. He says, "That sounds nice." And I said, "Thank you." And he said, "I'm Kevin Rollins. I'm Sonny Rollins' nephew," I think he said. You have to come up to Harlem and play at a place called La Famille. La Famille, in French, La Famille, the family. I said, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, they have a jam session on Sunday." So I went up, and I began to, and it went really well. I played some blues on the jazz bandstand after the sax players and trumpet players did their thing, and I got a very positive reaction. And in fact, a guy took me under his wing and took me out that night and give me some money. We'll get a little bit of sniff and all that kind of stuff. It was a wild life that I was living, but I ended up going out to the jazz clubs there. And one night, walking to a club, and there's a guy named Jimmy Preacher Robbins. He's dead now, but he was an incredible Deep South organ player. He was one of those guys. He would sing songs about. He'd get you into this place and like an old gospel organ player, and he would say, "Baby, I'm going to rub baby oil on your belly," and people would go nuts. And he got me up there to play with him one night. So I began to get a reputation. I was the white kid in Harlem. One night he said, "I'll bet Adam knows how to play honky tonk." Well, honky is a word that was used. Honky tonk was country music, basically. Honky tonk. So I thought country music's not really my thing. I know I'm a white guy, but it's not really my thing. I didn't know that honky tonk was a big R&B hit for Bill Doggett back in 53, 54, 55, the mid-50s. Big song for the organ player Bill Doggett. So I get up there. Well, I didn't know it was a song, right? But then I figured that out, and I went and got it, and I tried to adapt it to harmonica. And I got a version by Steve Gadd. I would encourage you to find this, because this is the one that I ultimately copied. It's a really cool song, and there's stuff in it that's useful. So one of the elements of it, of course, is that basic ga-dunk, 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 ga-dunk. Which is just a version of that sort of in and out chord rhythm that I've been doing for a long time. But if you make it slightly percussive that way, ga-dunk, 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 ga-dunk. So the point is not to try to copy note for note, but to adapt. So there's that thing. And the song Honky Tonk has a bunch of different parts in it. And I learned the Steve Gadd version. Now, I haven't gone back and reviewed it, but if I'm on the bandstand and I'm playing this is a B-flat Marine band. If I'm playing a blues that's sort of a shuffle blues in B-flat, sometimes I'll do this. I'll just go into Honky Tonk. And here's some basic elements of it. So, and there's sort of a first and a second part, and there's a stop time thing in the middle where he goes, boom. Let me try that again. Now that was slick, wasn't it? That time I hit it. So let's start with the really cool, that little riff I did at the end where I went. Can you get that much? I'm going to show you what I'm doing. That's nice because it forces you to jump. You're jumping between the 4 draw and the 6 blow, and you're bending as you go down. So let me show you that. Starting on the 4 draw, B flat harp, and you go up to the 6 blow. Then you go back down to four draw and do 4 draw bend. And go up to 6 blow. Now you go back down to the 4 draw bend where you last sort of left off to 4 blow. And that's about the tempo that you should try for early on. I would not try to speed this too fast. It's really about precision playing, about nailing the sort of descending 4 draw bend, 4 blow. And so that's just one element of the kind of turnaround in honky tonk. But there's another key element, again, is sort of on the 5 to 4 to 1 cadence, bars 9, 10, 11, and 12, 5, 4, 1, and then turnaround. Here are a couple of different ways of doing it. So I started at one point, first thing I showed you was not something I can show you because most of you can't overblow, so I'm not going to show you that. I'll just do it. Now that's a great way to use the 5 overblow. That's the 5 overblow. And actually, one of the reasons why this song appealed to me was that because I could do the overblow, I had a shot of getting some of those riffs. What did I do there? So the first one is 4 draw, 5 blow, 5 overblow, 6 draw, 6 draw, 7 draw, back to 4 draw. Then you kick into the 4 overblow to 5 blow. 4 overblow, 5 blow, 6 blow, 6 draw, then 6 overblow to 6 blow to 6 draw to 6 blow. Now I love that little fall away thing at the end, and there's any number of ways of doing it. The point is, there's sort of all of these little things you can swap in and swap out. So for example, I could go like this. Where I'm really, instead of going to 6 blow on the last note, go to 4 blow, which is basically to parallel the 5 chord riff, where I've ended up on the same note that I began on. Close to it. Now how about this? Now that time I went up to the 8 draw, and then I glissando down to 4 draw. And actually at the very end, what I did at the very end, notice how I went doo-doo on the 1 draw, that kind of pedal tone, part of the turnaround. But if you want to do it in true honky tonk style, you got to go, and that's actually really good practice. An aggressive 1 blow to 1 draw bend to 1 draw, and that's often how that's honky tonk. And that's often how the song starts off. If you're starting off from scratch, 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3. That's sort of how it starts off, and then. So how can we? Let me show you some more pieces of it. So I'm just going to play it at a moderate tempo. I don't even know if I'm going to explain it, but I want to sort of show you what it might sound like. So the opening chorus, again, it's the guitar. I'm replicating what the guitar does. Here's a key principle. In order to do this on harmonica, you've got to be the guitar, some portion, and the sax, another portion. And that's actually really important. In other words, if you listen to the original recording, and there's a Honky Tonk Part 1 and 2, it's basically a guitar tune, but then there's a... And that's not guitar, that's sax. So you're there the harp is turned into a sax, okay? Check it out. Looks like I might be running out of time. I think I'm running out of time. I might have to do Honky Tonk Part 2. Check it out. Now check it out. It's going to be a Honky Tonk Part 2. That's a lot of stuff. So we'll come back. We'll do Honky Tonk Part 2. I don't know when, at some point, but that's some cool stuff, isn't it? And even if you just get that much, to me, that was like, when I first got that riff, I said, now I'm playing Honky Tonk. I can't wait to go back and find Jimmy Preacher Robbins in that Harlem club, which is called Showman's. I think there's still a Showman's, but it's on 125th Street now. I mean, it's been there for 20 years, but it used to be on Frederick Douglass Boulevard around the corner, and it was really a cool place where I met Tippy Larkin and Jim Hollabaugh, the one white sax player I used to see in Harlem many years ago. He looked at me like, there's another one. You and your horn, man. All right, well, welcome. Tippy Larkin. I don't know whatever happened to Tippy Larkin, but he gave me my start. And Preacher, here's for you. See you down the road with Honky Tonk Part 2. Bye-bye.